done with the outline and all the list of the media that we are going to use, now we are going to put them in a design that is enticing to see, appealing for the audience, and we are going to try to make it interactive. And how do we do that? I will begin with introducing you to this platform. This design platform is free. Some of you might have used it anyway, like I do. And it is very great options for designing presentation and other things, including your name card. It's called canva.com, and you can sign in with your Google account. It's free. If you want to have some premium materials, you can subscribe to it. It's not that expensive. Anyway, enough of that. Okay, so in Canva, there's this tools to make presentation, and when you get into it, they will offer you with some templates that you may use as your template for your presentation. You might want to choose academic templates. Okay, there are some that you can use. Some are for students like in elementary school, but some of them might be useful for you too. Okay, and let's try one. I think and frame social media technology presentation. IT stuff. Okay. Okay. What I want to show you through this is that there are some parts in design that you have to be aware of. One of them is the color of the presentation. If it's bold out, you might want to see it because it's bright, it's good to your eyes. If it's dark, you might not want to see it because it will be boring. So for the first advice, I will suggest you that please use a bright color for your presentation because it will help your audience to focus to yours. And another part of presentation that we can learn from Canva is that they provide illustration along with the text. It also will help your audience to be more focused on your presentation because your brain currently works both sides for the words and the image, and it helps with concentration as well. And another thing is there's actually a rule that is offered by PowerPoint presentation by Microsoft that if you want to make your presentation perfect, you might want to use only 40 words maximum in one slide. And if you happen to count in Canva templates, there's always 40 or less words. And so I think that is a very good suggestion because the more words you put in one slide, the less focus you will get from your audience. Reading text is tiring, like you're reading a book or journal in English. After 5 minutes, you run out of energy. That happens to with presentation, so make sure you put less words. Basically, those are the highlights of design. There are some features that you can use in Canva as well. You can upload your own image. You can use some pictures or photos from there because it's free. The other, well, they are improving, so there's some tools. And about the design. With the design, what we are trying to create is memorable presentation. That's why I suggest you to make your presentation in a way will work, both of them, right and left. Because it will make them memorable. It will be stored in both sides of your brain, and it helps your brain to get to that information faster the next time you want to access it. There's a reason for that, and I will explain later. And here are some things that you need to remember as well, besides the slides in great presentation tool. You might want to use some proper prompts as well, like what we see in Hans Rosling and Dr. Jill and some other of speaker, I think is that. Like Bill Gates giving the audience mosquitoes because he was telling a story about malaria in Africa. That would be a very appropriate prompt for the kind of presentation, and you might use that, especially if you are biologists. You might use some samples from plants and stuff, and you can bring it out to the audience so they can see what you do in your lab. They can understand the process. It will help you too when you explain. It will give you more vocabularies and words as a result. Of course, less text. Please, no longer than 40 words. Some of the speakers in TED even not using any words in slides, just pictures, videos, or just prop, something like that. Keep it simple, just like what Ahmed said, make it simple. And please do try to create visual experience, because most of us, you realize it or not, most of us are triggered into something visual. Color, movements, brightness, that's all visual. That's all that you can see with your eyes, and we are trying to use that as an advantage for our presentation. I don't forget just now, but more words. Here are some colors and their psychological effect to the audience. You might want to know this. If you are an IT person, you might want to use a combination of black and white, because apparently that fits with the topic. But if you want to create another psychological effect, you can use other colors, of course. If you're talking about plants, use greens. That's why most of herbal medicine, I think, use green colors for the brand. This actually I got it from some business references, but I think it's also useful because currently they talk about the appearance and visual state. So we can use that too in our presentation. I use that sometimes for my presentation. Well, back then when I used to present something, and most of my presentations I use blue because I made a presentation for someone who was in power, like one in ministry, something, and I need the person to trust what we do, so I use blue color. Very simple reason. And here is Tim Urban. Have you ever heard of Tim Urban? He's a blogger. He writes for a living, like me, and I remember clearly then during his presentation about procrastinating, menunda-nunda, he didn't even put a single word in his slide. But he put this handwritten picture about a monkey and a sailor. I cannot get out of that image from my brain. I don't know why, but it is memorable. So when someone asks me about memorable presentation, I will refer to Tim Urban. He's great. And I will show you just now.
I was a government major, which means I had to write a lot of papers. Now, when a normal student writes a paper, they expert their work out a little like this. So, you know, you get started maybe a little slowly, but you get enough done in the first week that with some heavier days later on, everything gets done and things stay civil. And I would want to do that like that. That would be the plan. I would I would have it all ready to go, but then actually the paper would come along, and then I would kind of do this. And that would happen every single paper. But then came my 90-page senior thesis. Paper you're supposed to spend a year on. I knew for a paper like that, my normal workflow was not an option, it was way too big a project. So I planned things out, and I decided it kind of had to go something like this. This is how the year would go. So I'd start off light, and I'd bump it up in the middle months, and then at the end, I would kick it up to high gear, just like a little staircase. How hard is it to just walk up the stairs? No big deal, right? But then, funniest thing happened. Those first few months, they came and went, and I couldn't quite do stuff. We had an awesome new revised plan. And then those middle months actually went by, and I didn't really write words. And so we were here. And then 2 months turned into 1 month, turned into 2 weeks. And one day I woke up, it was 3 days until the deadline, still not having written a word, and so I did the only thing I could. I wrote 90 pages over 72 hours, pulling not one but 2 all-nighters. Humans are not supposed to pull 2 all-nighters. Sprinted across campus, dove in slow motion, and got it in just at the deadline. I thought that was the end of everything. But a week later, I get a call. And it's school. And they say, Tim Urban? And I say, yeah. And they say, we need to talk about your thesis. I say, okay. And they say, best one we've ever seen. That did not happen. It was a very, very bad thesis. I just wanted to enjoy that one moment when all of you thought, this guy is amazing. No, it was very, very bad. Anyway, today I'm a writer, blogger guy. I write the blog Wait But Why. And a couple of years ago, I decided to write about procrastination. My behaviors always perplexed the non-procrastinators around me, and I wanted to explain to the non-procrastinators of the world what goes on in the heads of procrastinators and why we are the way we are. Now, I had a hypothesis that the brains of procrastinators were actually different than the brains of other people. And to test this, I found an MRI lab that actually let me scan both my brain and the brain of a proven non-procrastinator, and so I can compare them, and I actually brought them here to show you today. And I want you to take a look carefully to see if you can notice a difference. And I know that if you're not a trained brain expert, it's not that obvious, but just take a look, okay? So here's the brain of a non-procrastinator. Now, here's my brain. There is a difference. Both brains have a rational decision maker in them, but the procrastinator's brain also has an instant gratification monkey. Now, what does this mean for the procrastinator? Well, it means everything's fine until this happens. So the rational decision maker will make the rational decision to do something productive, but the monkey doesn't like that plan. So he actually takes the wheel, and he says, actually, let's read the entire Wikipedia page of the Nancy Kerrigan Tanya Harding scandal, because I just remembered that happened. Then we're going to go over to the fridge, we're going to see if there's anything new in there since 10 minutes ago. After that, we're going to go on a YouTube spiral that starts with videos of Richard Feynman talking about magnets and ends much, much later with us watching interviews with Justin Bieber's mom. All of that.
Isn't that interesting? Like what a very archaic visual like this can do to your brain and your mood and your laptop, and you want to hear him all way long until we finish, right? And that's why simplicity matters. That's why imagination matters. That's why you can use your creativity in a way you deliver your message in your research. And that's how you do make a memorable presentation. Because it's you, it represents you. It's not from somewhere else. It's not a template. It's you. Just like what I did with my slide, because it has so many themes in the slides, and that's me. I like colors. I like simplicity, and that's why I show you. it has to represent the design introduction. But keep it simple because when it gets complicated, people will not focus on what you're delivering. People will focus on what kind of picture is that on the slide. Alright. That's Tim Urban. You might want to watch the monkey later, but I'm sure you cannot get the monkey out of your brain right now because of this. Currently, John Medina says that our brain able to remember pictures clearly, even 90% after a week of its exposure. Well, that explains why I cannot get the monkey out of my brain anyway. So please use more pictures, more illustrations in your design when you put the outline into your presentations because it matters. It will take times, like I can think about a picture for 10 minutes and then after I put it in my presentation, I will change it again. It takes time, but at least we have to try because it will help us slow our presentations. Alright, the design material will end here. We are going to the next session with the presenting, but we are going with this session in practice. So you, all of you, each of you, because we have time for that, will stand here at the front and present to us what you are writing from before lunch break. So now you have the time to put your design, to put your outline to your design and try to add some videos there, pictures, videos. If you have a hard time putting videos in your presentations, just keep the hyperlink there and we can watch the videos in source. So I will give you time about 30 minutes to design your presentation. And afterwards, we will have a little break with Nana again. And afterwards, we will hear each of you out with your presentation and your presentation should be exciting. So please take your time. By the way, if any of you have questions, just feel free to raise your hand and we will discuss that question right after you ask the question. So please make yourself comfortable.